It's late. The house is quiet. No messages, no calls, just the glow of a phone screen. You're not even shopping. You're scrolling. One listing becomes 10. 10 becomes 50. And after a while, you notice something strange. Everything that looks safe, looks normal, looks like a place where life could happen, carries the same invisible price tag. Not just the number on the listing, but the lifestyle it demands. The kind of payment that doesn't just take money, it takes choices. And if you've ever felt that tightening in your chest while looking at homes, you already know the emotion. It isn't jealousy, it isn't laziness, it isn't a lack of motivation. It's your brain recognizing a pattern. This doesn't add up. Today, we're going to treat modern home ownership like a case file, not a motivational poster, not a just work harder lecture, not a comment section debate, a case file. We'll follow the money, we'll follow the incentives, we'll follow the psychology. And by the end, you'll have something more valuable than a hot take. You'll have a plan you can actually live with. My name is James, and this is the story of how the normal middle-class life became a financial trap, and how to build a version of life that doesn't quietly bankrupt you. Chapter 2, the old map. Every generation inherits a map, a set of rules, a script, go to school, get a job, buy a house, upgrade the car, save what you can, retire someday. For a long time, that map worked well enough. Not perfectly, not for everyone, but enough that it became cultural truth. And when something becomes cultural truth, people stop questioning it. They stop asking, was this advice designed for my reality or for a different decade? Because here's what makes this moment so confusing. You're living in the same country, working the same kinds of jobs, buying the same kinds of things, but the underlying economy is different. And when the economy changes, the old map stops being helpful. It becomes dangerous. So let's start with the biggest symbol of the map, the house. In the story we were told, buying a home is a milestone. It means stability, it means adulthood, it means you're doing well. But in the story, people don't tell you, buying a home is also a leveraged bet, a long bet, a bet that nothing major goes wrong, a bet that income keeps rising, a bet that costs don't spike at the wrong time, a bet that your life stays stable for years, sometimes decades. And that's why this isn't just about houses. It's about risk and who is being asked to carry it. Chapter 3, the starter home that isn't. Let's zoom in. A starter home used to mean humble. It meant 3 bedrooms, maybe 1 bathroom, maybe an unfinished basement. Not perfect, but possible. Now, in a lot of places, the starter home is priced like a finished dream. And it's not because every house suddenly got better, it's because the definition of starter shifted, not in your favor. Picture a neighborhood you'd actually want. Not luxury and not gated, just decent. The kind of place where you can walk outside without feeling like you're rolling dice. The kind of place where the school isn't a daily anxiety source. The kind of place where basic safety isn't marketed like a premium feature. That's where the pressure lives. Because when people say, just buy a cheaper home, what they usually mean is, just buy a cheaper zip code. And the hidden sentence underneath that is, accept more risk. Different commute risk, different school risk, different crime risk, different job access risk. So the price isn't just money, it's trade-offs. And trade-offs are what you live with every day. Chapter 4, the down payment problem. Now we meet the first gatekeeper, the down payment. In the clean version of this story, you put down a big chunk. You start with equity, you avoid extra fees, you have breathing room. But most people don't start there. Most people start with whatever they can scrape together. And if you're trying to buy in a high-cost market, the down payment feels like a wall that moves farther away the closer you get. This is where the emotional spiral begins, because saving money is hard, but saving money while watching your target rise is a different kind of hard. It doesn't feel like progress, it feels like punishment. And that's when people start looking for shortcuts, smaller down payments, longer loan terms, creative solutions, not because they're reckless, because they want a life that feels normal, and the system is very good at selling normal as a product. Chapter 5, the payment that never stops. Then you get to the monthly payment, the number that becomes a permanent line in your life. For years, people learned to think about homes in terms of the list price, but the list price is not what owns you. The payment owns you. Because the payment is not just one number, it's a stack: principal and interest, taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance sometimes, HOA fees sometimes, utilities, maintenance. And here's the part no one puts in the motivational speech. Homeownership is a subscription. The difference is you can't cancel. And if you stop paying, the consequences are not service interruption. The consequences are life disruption. So you don't just pay with money. You pay with fear, a low, constant fear that lives in the background. Not every day, but enough days, enough to shape your decisions. Chapter 6. A family on paper. Now, let's introduce a couple. Not a stereotype, just a believable family. 2 adults, both working, good jobs, not struggling in the obvious way. On paper, they look like the success story. They buy the house. They post the photo. They hold the keys. Friends comment, "Proud of you. You did it. Welcome home." Then the first month arrives. The payment hits. Still okay. Tight, but okay. Second month. Still okay. Third month. The grocery bill is higher than expected. Fourth month. A car repair. Fifth month. The utility bill spikes. Sixth month. The tax escrow adjusts. Seventh month. A medical bill. And now the family isn't building. They're reacting. And here's the most important part. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't buy a yacht. They didn't gamble. They didn't live recklessly. They followed the script. And the script put them in a position where life itself became the threat. Chapter 7. The real difference between qualifying and affording. This is where the language matters, because people love the word qualify. It sounds official. It sounds earned, like a trophy. But qualify just means the lender believes you can make payments at the edge of your comfort. Afford is different. Afford means you can pay the bills and still live like a human. Afford means the unexpected doesn't turn into debt. Afford means you can invest. Afford means you can take a breath. If a house requires you to stop investing to survive it, it's not a wealth tool, it's a lifestyle expense. If a house requires your emergency fund to stay permanently incomplete, it's not stability, it's fragility. If a house makes you afraid to negotiate at work, afraid to change jobs, afraid to take risks, that isn't the American dream. That's a cage with nice countertops. Chapter 8. The car trap sitting in the driveway. Now we leave the house for a second and walk into the driveway, because this is where people unknowingly double the pressure, the car payment. It's so normalized that people forget it's optional. Not having a car optional, having a monthly debt contract optional. And once you stack a big housing payment with a big vehicle payment, you create a system that demands constant income. That's the real problem, not debt itself, but dependence. You become dependent on everything staying stable, and stability is not guaranteed. This is how people become trapped, not by one bad decision, but by a pile of normal decisions. House, car, subscriptions, finance furniture, travel on credit, small lifestyle upgrades that feel harmless. Individually, each one seems manageable. Together, they create a financial machine that must be fed, and you're the one feeding it, every month, no matter what kind of year you're having. Chapter 9. Why cutting back feels insulting. Now we arrive at the part where traditional advice becomes offensive, because when someone tells you to cut back, what are they really saying? They're implying the problem is your choices, that if you were just a little more disciplined, a little less wasteful, a little more responsible, you'd be fine. But what most people are experiencing isn't luxury spending. It's normal spending: rent, food, transportation, insurance, childcare. These are not indulgences. These are requirements. So when people hear cut back, they feel mocked, and they should, because cutting back isn't the solution. Restructuring is the solution. There's a difference between skipping coffee and redesigning your life. Skipping coffee saves you a small number. Redesigning your life changes the equation. It means making moves that feel socially uncomfortable. A roommate when you're too old for one. A smaller place than your ego wants. A car that isn't impressive. a decision to rent even when people judge you for it. Those choices aren't cute. They're powerful because they create margin. And margin is what turns panic into control. Chapter 10. The $20,000 line. Let's talk about a number that doesn't sound dramatic. $20,000. Not invested, not locked in retirement, liquid, available, a buffer. If you don't have that, many normal events become emergencies. A tire replacement becomes stress. A medical bill becomes debt. A job interruption becomes chaos. But when you cross that line, something changes. You don't become rich. You become unbreakable. Not in a superhero way, in a normal human way. You can handle life without collapsing into interest payments. This is why the first stage of wealth building is not glamorous. It's protective. It's building a moat. And people underestimate moats because they're boring. But boring is what keeps you alive when life gets loud. Chapter 11. The system profits from your rush. Now we zoom out. Because the system has incentives. And incentives create behavior. Banks profit when you borrow more. Dealers profit when you finance longer. Companies profit when you feel behind. Advertising profits when you feel inadequate. Social media profits when you compare your life to someone else's highlight reel. So, of course, the message is always, buy now. Upgrade now. Don't miss out. This is what winners do. What no one tells you is this. Financial pressure is a product. It's manufactured, it's fed. And if you're not careful, you will spend your life purchasing relief from anxiety you didn't create. That's the trap, not spending. Chasing the feeling of being caught up. Chapter 12. The countermove. Building a life with options. So what do? You stop asking, what looks successful? And you start asking, what gives me options? Options look boring at first. Options look like a paid-off, unexciting car, a smaller home payment, a bigger emergency fund, consistent investing, skills that raise your income, a side income stream that can grow. Options look like being able to walk away from bad jobs, from bad deals, from toxic situations. Options look like saying no without fear. The goal is not to impress people. The goal is to be free. And freedom has a strange aesthetic. It often looks like less. Less house, less car, less flash. But underneath that less is something rare. Control. Chapter 13. What to do next. Tactical path. Here's a practical path you can follow without pretending the world is cheaper than it is. Step 1. Create margin immediately. Not by optimizing, by cutting the biggest pressure points. If housing is crushing you, consider downsizing, roommates, relocating, or renegotiating your living situation. If cars are crushing you, stop financing status and start buying transportation. Step 2. Eliminate high-interest debt. Because debt at high rates makes every future goal slower. Step 3. Build the buffer. 20,000 liquid is a strong first target. Step 4. Automate investing once the foundation is stable. Not because investing is magic, because consistency turns time into a weapon. Step 5. Increase income in a way that actually lasts. Skills, certifications, negotiation, side work that can scale. And throughout all of this, remember the main principle. Don't build a life that requires everything to go right. Build a life that survives when something goes wrong, because something will. Chapter 14. The final scene. Let's return to that midnight scroll. Same phone, same listings, but this time you see them differently. You don't see success. You see obligations. You don't see a dream. You see a monthly contract with your future. And instead of feeling behind, you feel clear. Because clarity is the beginning of wealth. Not motivation, not hustle, clarity. You don't have to participate in financial insanity just because it's popular. You don't have to buy the expensive version of normal. You can choose stability. You can choose margin. You can choose the boring decisions that create an extraordinary life. And if people misunderstand you for a while, let them. Because the ones who look the most successful today are often the ones who can't afford a bad month. Your goal isn't to look rich. Your goal is to be untouchable, to have options, to have walking away money, to wake up and know, if life hits me, I'm not done. That's real wealth. Everything else is decoration.